Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals kept their playoff hopes alive this Saturday night as they beat the Denver Broncos in Week 17. Now they get to travel to Pittsburgh to take on Russell Wilson and the Steelers to see if they can continue to have this amazing playoff push that they're on. While the Steelers are trying to lock up their spot as a 5 seed at minimum and potentially even to win the division. And we'll break all this down here in a second when we break down this Bengals Steelers game. My name's Tyler here with my brother Ryan. And if you like the work that we put out, be sure to subscribe to the Tracy Take and tackle that bell to get notified when new videos come out. While you're at it, leave a like and a comment. Let us know who you think will win and why. Ryan, as I said, the Bengals still have a shot to make the playoffs. They have to win again, and a couple other things have to happen. Broncos need to lose. And I think also, too, the Colts and Miami, I think, also needs to lose, which you never know. That's possible. Tua's not playing, and the Colts are the Colts. It's actually Anthony Richardson's not playing, most likely not playing either. The Steelers, on the other hand, they are currently right now the 5 seed. They have the tiebreaker against the Chargers, who are the 6 seed, and the head-to-head, but are game back from Baltimore. This game, as of this recording, is not scheduled, but I believe it will probably be a 4 o'clock Sunday game. Reason why I believe that is because those 3 teams are involved. I think the NFL is going to want to have all 3 teams playing at the same time, which is going to be a 4 o'clock Eastern starting time. If the Steelers win and the Ravens lose, they're going to win the division because they have the better division record, as they'll be 4-2, or the Ravens will be 3-3. However, if they lose and the Chargers win, then they will slide down to the 6 seed, while the Chargers will go up to the 5 seed. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, please. I want to make sure that I'm accurate on this, but the way I'm looking at it, that's going to be the main breakdown overall, if I'm correct. The 5th seed is the most coveted spot, in my opinion, because you're going to be going up against this Texans team, which limped in, like, by all definitions. Now, like, they have struggled, and luckily their division sucks. It's so bad. And so, if whoever's at that 5 seed, I think, is already going to be favorites going into this the wild card matchup. But we got to play the game. You got to see what happens here. Pittsburgh Steelers got a super tough matchup against the Cincinnati Bengals team. Which, ironically, actually, the Bengals' last loss was to the Steelers in Week 13, coming off their bye. I want to throw it over to you. What do you think of this Bengals team, how Joe Burrow has been playing, how this Pittsburgh Steelers team has been playing? What are some of the key things that you're looking at for here in this matchup?
Yeah, I mean, this Bengals offense has been lighting it up all year long. I need to go look and count, but, like, I think we were talking about it. They've lost like 5 or 6 games where this offense has scored over 30 points. And even if they were a playoff lock at this point and not even like a fringe playoff team, I think Joe Burrow would be at the top of the MVP discussion just with how good this offense has been playing. Jamar Chase has made himself a lot of money. He's having a historically great season. And like CeeDee Lamb last year, I believe, was like the 7th most receiving yards ever recorded in a season, and I believe Jamar Chase is going to pass that this year. So that is just a super impressive season from him. And unfortunately, Chase Brown did get hurt in this last game. I don't think that's a huge loss. Just because this running game and the offensive line as a whole, it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they showed a stat. Even I'm blanking on it when it comes to all yards from scrimmage from running back. Chase Brown was like 4th or 5th because he's also a great receiving back. He's their 3 down back.
So
if he's not able to go, that's going to be a loss for this team because although Cincinnati is ranked not well 29th when it comes to rushing yards per game, he has a vast majority of those rushing yards. But also, too, he is a great check down back. I have him on my dynasty team, and I'm not saying I'm good at it, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I should cut him. Maybe you're right. I have no idea. But he's consistently, though, I think 12 to 15 point fantasy wise, just because of the catches that he can bring, the yards that he can bring. And I guess that's not saying he's a good NFL running back. I think he's good.
Well, so my thing there was just they're not a running team. They win by throwing the football. The ball is coming out of Joe Burrow's hands. He does add value as a pass catcher. I do feel like that is one, his lack of productivity in the running game, I think, falls on the offensive line. Like, they just cannot really block anything on that offensive line right now, whether it's a pass rush, whether it's a run block. Like, they're struggling on that offensive line as a whole tremendously right now. His value outside of that, I think, is going to be like much greater. And I am looking now like he is going to be close to 1,000-yard rusher
Yeah.
this season. So maybe I'm underselling his value to this offense, but I I think of all the pieces to be missing on this one, like maybe Mike Gesicki is less valuable. But like I think his role, somebody could easily come up and fill that, not easily, but somebody could come up and fill that production that he's leaving behind there. So we'll have to see who can do that for them. But all in all, I think this offensive success comes down to Joe Burrow getting the ball out to Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Mike Gesicki, Andre Yoshivas, all of those guys. And I think this is going to be a favorable matchup here against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They gave up 44 to them last time, but you mentioned this when in our last video that when we were talking about some of the tiebreakers and what it would take for Cincinnati to get in, and just they have been better on the defensive side of the ball. They gave up 20, 27, only 6 to Cleveland a couple weeks ago, and they gave up 24 to Denver, but that was a much more convincing performance through 3.5 quarters until Bo Nix really just started to like let things fly, and they got beat for a big touchdown to Marvin Mims, and then really like was a lucky pass that was a questionable call. I kind of agree with like just letting the call on the field stand of a touchdown, but that Marvin Mims jump ball there with like 8 seconds left to tie the game, I think was like you're more often than not going to bat that ball down in double coverage.
It
So
was wild. Yeah, I will say, like, on a 4th and 1 play to throw up, like, a Hail Mary moon ball to Marvin Mims, arguably your shortest receiver on the team, was not on
yeah,
my bingo card, I will say. But,
yeah,
hey, it worked out. It was a phenomenal play. But,
yeah,
yeah, I think that's kinda going back to what you're saying earlier with, like, the season that Joe Burrow's having, Jamar Chase is having. Right now, even too, Jamar Chase looks like he's at 1,612 yards, on the season with 1 game left to go, and they're gonna be bringing everything out. That'll put him actually about 23rd overall as of right now on the receiving list, right behind Randy Moss, which we hope you're doing well. But if he has another big game, he could get up in the top 10 season overall, potentially even surpassing CD Lamb from last year, who's at
yeah,
1749. So very possible. Joe
yeah.
Burrow's been having an amazing year offensively, and that's the thing. Kind of looking at this matchup here, I do feel like that Cincinnati is going to have to go and put up 30 plus more points again because the defense has been playing better. They just need this defense to be like just below mediocre, which is what they've been the past couple of weeks since the last time they played Pittsburgh. I feel like Pittsburgh's a bad matchup for them. I think one of the reasons why Denver had a tough time offensively against Cincinnati is they're not the greatest of running teams. Denver's 18th overall in rushing yards offensively. Well, right now, Pittsburgh, they are 10th overall in rushing yards. And
Mhm.
George Pickens did come back, but during the 3 weeks that George Pickens was gone, that was like the only thing this team could do, really. And even too in general, they're pretty consistent with Najee Harris, Jalen Warren as well. They're also big check down guys. Jalen Warren, especially, check down guy for Russell Wilson, and that's really kind of just their mo is deep explosive plays of George Pickens, which Cincinnati struggles with, a consistent receiver, like big body receiver in the middle, Pat Fryermuth, that Cincinnati struggles with, and then I think a solid offensive line as well. And ironically, I know saying that's I just covered all 3 levels of the defense. It goes to show how bad this Bengals defense has
I,
been throughout the whole season. They've been playing somewhat better, yes, but also too, if we're being completely honest, during the stretch though, they played a Cooper Rush Dallas team where they got actually a little bit
yeah,
lucky with the block punt and everything, um, which for Cincinnati Bengals fans normally doesn't go your way. Then they played, was it Mason Rudolph? No, Will Levis got benched
in that
in
in
that
that
game.
game.
Mason Rudolph
Yeah.
came in, and then you played Dorian Thompson Robinson.
Was that the
Uh,
game where the Titans had like 4 turnovers in the first half? Like they had like 3 fumbles and a pick by Will Levis.
Something like that. I think
Yeah.
there was. I think there was.
It,
This is a crazy stat. There were 10 turnovers in that game. It was wild to think
that's
about.
crazy.
So there's a turnover
And
every 6 minutes. That's wild.
That would actually be really entertaining. I might have to go back and watch the highlights for that
Yeah,
one.
there was
But
like a 38-24 game. Like, it was pretty explosive.
yeah,
But,
I
anyways.
I will say, one, outside of Trey Hendrickson, that Bengals defense has a lot that
Uh,
they need to
I
work
think
on.
Jermaine Pratt, their
It
linebacker, solid.
it yeah,
But there are definitely a lot of
it
areas on that team that need to be improved.
um, but then so, like, on the flip side, while this Bengals defense has been I'll say improving just because the play on the field and, like, the statistics have been going in the right direction. This Steelers offense has taken a dip, but I think if you look a little bit past the numbers, there's reasons for it. So they're what is that? 4 for 6. They've lost 4 of their last 6. They've lost the last 3 in a row. But if you look, there was the one loss 6 weeks ago was the 24-19 loss to Jameis Winston in the Snow Bowl game at Cleveland. Then they won uh, against the Bengals 44-38. Then they beat the Browns 27-14. And then their last 3 games have been against the Eagles, the Ravens, and the Chiefs. They put up 13, 17, and 10. So very lackluster offensive performances. I believe they were missing George Pickens for all of those.
Except Kansas.
And yeah, except Kansas City, but he didn't look right in the Kansas City game.
Well, yeah, but neither did the entire offense.
But true. But those are also, like, the Eagles have one of the best defenses in the league. The Ravens have one of the best run defenses in the league. And the Chiefs, again, have also one of the best defenses in the league. And so for me, I think that's just a tough matchup for anyone. They're all going to struggle in those conditions. And those are teams that are getting hot at the right time. Like the Eagles, they've been one of the best teams all year, but I think you look, they're really starting to kind of build into the postseason. The Ravens, they're built for this time of year where they're going to stop the run. They're going to run the ball really hard. Lamar Jackson is having another MVP caliber season. And while I've been critical of the Chiefs all year, they're still just finding ways to win games. And to me, that Steelers game was their best performance all year.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yes, they've lost like their last 3, 4 of their last 6, but this is still not like there's definitely reasons for those. They're not just falling off and kind of fading as the season goes on. So let's get into predictions here. Tyler, you're leading our season-long competition, so I'm going to throw it over to you. Who do you have coming out ahead in this matchup?
So I'm going to ride with the hot hand. I'm going to go with Cincinnati. I think this defense is bad, but they're playing nowhere near as bad as I think what they were in week 13 when they played. You go look at that game. Steelers were able to establish the run. They had 110 rushing yards on that game. They had 410 passing yards, kind of going back to that point of what we were talking about earlier, like where the Bengals struggle with explosive plays. And you go look at this Broncos game today. They only gave up, well, really the one deep one to Marvin Mims, and then the last one, the second Marvin Mims touchdown, the one that we talked about, the fourth one was kind of a Hail Mary prayer. Other than that, though, they were playing with their ears pinned back. They were getting after Bo Nix. They are going to have their. I think the Steelers' offensive line's a little bit better, but I also too just go look at it, and then like Joe Burrow is just on another level offensively. The Steelers are a little banged up as well. I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong. I apologize. But Joey Porter Jr. Has been battling some injuries as well. I think there's some areas in that secondary that are a little bit weaker that I think that they're going to be able to exploit. Need to watch to make sure Chase Brown's going to play. I feel very confident Chase Brown's going to play. I bet he's going to be suiting up. He's like, this is the last game of the year. Like, I can fight through whatever. So, because they're going to want him in that backfield. And I'm just going to ride the hot hand with Cincinnati, if I'm being completely honest. And so they need a lot to go their way still. But I don't know. Maybe they've used up all of their bad luck early on in the season, and now it's nothing but good luck here for the rest of the way.
So I want to go with Cincinnati here, but I'm behind in our season-long competition. I don't think I can catch you at this point, but I'm going to try to close the gap as much as I can. I'll go with Pittsburgh here. This is just a really tough matchup, I think, for Cincinnati.
Yeah.
They've really struggled. They gave up 7 sacks to Denver. And to me, with TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith, Nate Herbig, and that pass rush and what Mike Tomlin can scheme up, I feel like they'll find more ways to get after Joe Burrow. They see these wide receivers more often. And so I feel like they have a better understanding of how to cover
Yeah,
them rather than a team like Denver. And so I'm gonna go with the Steelers here. I think that they can pull this one out here to solidify that 5 seed for them.
I like it. Yeah, and so Pittsburgh, at minimum, they want the 5 seed. Like, if they win, they're the 5 seed, and I think they
Yeah.
would love that matchup against Houston. I think every team would love that matchup against Houston. If they could
Mhm.
somehow find a way for Cleveland to beat Baltimore, then that would be absolutely phenomenal for them because then they'd be the
Actually,
3 seed.
so I know you have to go on the road, but I don't know if I would want the 3 seed. That Chargers team, and granted they played the Patriots today, who, if you can't tell, I'm a Patriots fan, is god awful. But that's not necessarily a team that I want to be playing. They have a good rushing defense. They can run the ball when J.K. Dobbins is healthy. Justin Herbert at times can be just unstoppable. Uh,
Yeah.
and so granted, I like they're not the most formidable team, but they could definitely come in and beat anybody on any given Sunday.
Well, it's so the Steelers win, and the Ravens lose. Steelers are the 3 seed. Ravens become the 5 seed,
Yeah,
no matter what the Chargers do,
and I would
because
rather
they
go into Houston.
and so that's what it's getting to. So the Steelers actually played the Chargers already earlier this year in week 3,
Yeah,
and that was Justin Fields led team. But it's not even so much more like the Steelers evolving; it's what the Chargers have evolved into, and kind of
yeah.
Justin Herbert now with this offense, Jim Harbaugh now controlling this defense. And you make a fair point. Like, do they want to just like try and beat the 5 seed? Like, it's kind of out of their control
You,
because
you're
Ravens
most
somehow
likely going to
lose.
have to go on the road anyways in the divisional round, and for me, I like the matchup against Houston much more than I like the matchup against uh the Chargers right now. I mean, like obviously you want the home playoff game. The owners want the home playoff game because you're going to make more money that way. Like there's
Yeah.
other things outside of football as to why you want to win the division. And I'm not saying like the Steelers should be fine, or should purposely lose. I just think it's not as big of a deal if they don't win the division
Well,
than if
so
they do.
another way to look at it, and like you never want to look ahead. You just got to try and win games. But if you're Pittsburgh, also is like, and you win the division, you got to play the chart. You'll be the 3 seed no matter what. Potential, yeah, 3 seed no matter what. So you have to be the
Mhm.
Chargers, and then you will go. You'll most likely go to Buffalo, barring
Yeah.
if Buffalo loses. Even though I don't think Buffalo's going to lose to Denver. Now, if Buffalo plays Cincinnati, that would be a game. If Cincinnati somehow gets in, so this also relates to the
That would
Bengals
be wild.
if you're still here. Uh, that is going to be an amazing game. Love that game. Uh, but so hypothetically, though, let's say the Broncos win. I think Buffalo's going to win that game. I would almost still rather be the 3 seed because if you're the 5 seed, yes, you might be Houston, but then you got to go beat Patrick Mahomes, and then you probably got to go beat Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson. Well, I say that though, but then you have to beat Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or Patrick Mahomes, anyways. And so I don't know.
You just
It,
have to do it in a different order.
You just have to
Like
do
it
it in a different order. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Steelers are are not like I could see them maybe making the Super Bowl, but it's a lot of. I mean, they're not playing.
Yeah.
They they've got to figure some stuff out. So I don't. Now I talk it out that way. I don't know. Buffalo's not really that pleasant this time of year to travel to. So
I mean, to be fair, there was like one of the coldest games in NFL history in Kansas City last year when Miami
yeah,
went there. So
that's fair too.
Kansas City's not super pleasant either. But anyways, let's go ahead. Let's wrap up this video here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, go ahead and leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead. Will it be the Cincinnati Bengals? Will it be the Pittsburgh Steelers? And other than that, we will see you guys next time.